Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Shannon Bream in for Brett Baer. What a difference a day makes. Just a day after President Obama's unprecedented move to punish Russia for trying to interfere with the U.S. election, Vladimir Putin says he will not retaliate. And Donald Trump sings Putin's praises for that. We have Fox team coverage. Correspondent Peter Ducey is in Florida, where the president-elect is taking a friendly stance towards Moscow. But we began with correspondent Kevin Corke, who's traveling with the president in Honolulu with a reaction to the start of the Obama administration's crackdown on Russia. Good evening, Kevin.
Indeed, you're right, Shannon. Yesterday it was the Kremlin and the White House going back and forth about those accusations of cyber intrusions, trying to influence the U.S. election. Well, today it was the Russians pulling punches. It was a scene that unfolded from coast to coast, from Washington to San Francisco. Nearly 36 Russian operatives working to leave the United States ahead of a deadline imposed by President Obama in retaliation for what the White House called Russian cyber intrusion during the run-up to the 2016 election.
It's altogether 11 people, including 3 kids. And they have to pack and leave within hours. But
even as the administration closed Russian facilities in New York and Maryland, Russian President Vladimir Putin fired off what could best be described as his own "when they go low, we go high" statement, saying, although we have the right to retaliate, we will not resort to irresponsible kitchen diplomacy, but will plan our further steps to restore Russian-U.S. relations based on the policies of the Trump administration. The Kremlin's decision comes a day after the FBI and Department of Homeland Security released a joint report detailing how federal investigators linked the Russians to hacking involving the Democratic Party. The 13-page report describing tools used by the Russians to, quote, compromise and exploit networks and endpoints associated with the U.S. election, as well as a range of U.S. government, political, and private sector entities. While the document provided little in the way of forensic proof to confirm the government's attribution, it did lay the groundwork for Mr. Obama's response. But critics worry the diplomatic fallout could have major ramifications on America's standing in the world.
The world looks at our country to have peaceful and a productive and a smooth transfer of power. This type of nonsense is what I would expect from a tin pot dictatorship that just became a democracy and can't make the democratic system work. America demands better.
I think it's clear it cannot be business as usual, that this was a serious attack against our country, against our democratic system. I think the president has taken steps. We're still trying to evaluate it to see exactly what impact it will have on Russia. We could do more.
Just how the Trump administration handles the Russians and the sanctions imposed by the Obama White House remains to be seen. But White House officials are warning against straying too far from convention.
If the next administration wants to lift sanctions against senior Russian intelligence units to make it easier for them to interfere in our elections, you can go ahead and do that. We just don't think that makes much sense.
And the PR battle continues even into tonight, Shannon, with Vladimir Putin saying it was regrettable that the Obama administration would end in this manner, but he nevertheless sends his New Year greetings to both the Obama and Trump families. Shannon?
All right, Kevin. Well, we also heard a bit of news on the domestic front today, apparently out of the White House. The president, it seems, has a meeting planned with House Democrats next week. What's that about?
Well, there's a number of reasons that the House Democrats want to get together with the president. Most notably, they want to continue the conversation about sanctions. In addition to that, keep in mind, you've heard a great deal about Obamacare, the so-called repeal and replace movement. House Democrats are not going to let that go without a bit of a fight, and so they're going to get together with the president and discuss not just those 2 issues, but a number of other major issues as they look forward to life without the Democrat in the White House. Shannon?
Big changes coming. All right, Kevin Corke in Hawaii, thank you.